Hey everybody, it's Annette Dion and it is Wednesday, April 29th. Believe it or not, tomorrow is the last day of April 2020. It's hard for me to believe. So, I'm coming at you with my daily reading, and I am a clairvoyant, psychic, tarot card reader, and spiritual counselor. I don't really need cards, but I enjoy looking at them, and I think that other people do too. So I like to use them. And today we have the moon in Leo, which means it's a very fiery day. And the sun came out where I live in Massachusetts, so that was really exciting because it had been a long time. And it's going to rain again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's like Seattle. So, lots going on. I just want to speak to the overall energy that's happening. I'm feeling people being in kind of a struggle about wanting to get back to they don't know what. It feels like, oh yeah, I think I want to go back to normal, but like it's kind of like after 5 weeks we're forgetting what that is. So there's a disassembling of the whole structure. So it's hard to describe because we've never been through this in our lifetimes. I don't think anyone's been through this in many lifetimes. So what's going on is everything is, and I mean everything, is becoming disassembled. And when everything becomes disassembled, in order to have that thing again, we need to reassemble it. But what's happening is we're being asked to assemble things in a different way. So the economy will eventually come back. It will be sooner if it's a new economy. What that means is we have to collectively put our money into what we want this new economy to be. Put our money towards what we value. For example, just for a small example, in my hometown, restaurants are, and I said this a few weeks ago, I said that the restaurants were going to be okay because they were going to figure it out in the sense that they were going to make food available to people in a different way. They were going to change things around and still be in business. And of course that's a takeout business, but it took some time for people in that industry, from what I'm seeing, to sort through it, to think it through and figure out a way that it would work for them, and not for all, but for some. In fact, I'm going to get a takeout dinner to support my friends down the street tonight, and I really want to encourage you, wherever you are, to support your local businesses, your mom and pops, because they need to stay around, because that's America, Also, he who shall not be named, when I tap into his energy, I feel like, I guess like an empty shell is the best way to describe it. Not really thinking, just being, and I hate to say this, but his eyes don't look right. I'm just going to leave it at that. The next time you see him speaking, they're very black. I mean the pupils. So I'm just going to leave that at that. I don't want to start a conspiracy theory, but I do have my ideas about what's going on. Of course, everyone's asking me when this is going to end, and I repeatedly say it's not going to. You've heard me say that before. It's not going to end anytime soon. The old way of life is over. So, and the other thing I want to say is that it's really important to hold a vision for what you would like to see occur. Think about that new economy. It's really important for us to focus on what we want to see happen. There are more possibilities than what meets the eye. Also, the talk about an impending depression and all that. Just remember, your economy is your own personal economy. And it's up to individuals and, of course with your family and everything, to figure out what works for you and not to let what's happening in society dictate how that's going to be. You're gonna fare way better if you figure out how to make your own economy work. You know what I'm saying? It's a brand new way of thinking, so change is inevitable always, and this is a big change. We don't have a lack problem, we have a distribution problem. If the 1% of the world's population that holds all the wealth would just share it, we would see that there's plenty. We don't know how that's going to happen, but I do see a breakdown of that system that doesn't work anymore, and it's going to be a little bit slow coming, but I'd say about 8 months from now, I'm just guessing that time frame, it's going to look really different, and the people that didn't have money are going to have money. So I can get into that a little bit more when I maybe sometime do a reading for a longer time span. This is just for 24 hours. So Wednesday to Thursday. I just picked an angel card while I was blabbing away, and the angel that we have is spiritual growth. That's exactly what I was talking about. If you envision the world that you want for the world and the world that you want for yourself personally, it's really time to be spiritually responsible. I keep on coming up with this phrase, spiritually responsible, spiritually grown up. We have to take responsibility for the circumstances in our lives that we do have control over. You know, some we don't. You know, like there are circumstances that we have when we're born. We don't have a lot of control over that, but there are a lot of things that we do have control over, and the most prominent one is the ability to intend what you want to see in your life and use that positive thinking. That I don't mean to sound trite by saying positive thinking, but that intentional thinking, instead of, oh no, why is this happening to me? It's more of, how do I want things to be, and how can I work towards making it that way? Because we have way more power than we realize, and we live in a society that talks us out of that. I mean, try telling somebody that you feel like really empowered and see how they react. Anyway, you got to look at who you're speaking to too. I mean, in spiritual circles, we speak a certain language, and one is, you know, be careful what you say, be careful what you think about, and really, like stand guard at the doorway of your thinking, because it really has a huge impact, and that even goes for physical healing. It really does. Okay, so 3 cards for today. Boy, I'm being a spiritual counselor today. I can feel it. And go with your energy. If you feel like taking a nap in the middle of the day, if you can, go ahead. My guides always tell me when it looks like nothing is happening, when things seem like slow in your day, there's way more happening than you would ever believe. That's when you get messages from your guides, whether it's a message that you're aware you're getting, or that sort of a seed is planted in your mind from your guides, and then maybe later in the day or the next morning you get up and you go, wow, I just had a great idea. I just had an epiphany. This happens to creative people. It's like eureka. That's a eureka moment. I have to look up the word eureka. That's a good one. So just know that when you need to problem solve, you know, the guides always give you answers. You just kind of have to be quiet and listen. And if the answer doesn't feel like it comes immediately, it does come eventually. There's no time in the spirit plane. So 3 cards about what's going on. Okay, so I just want to mention that the whole executive order to keep the meat processing plants open. I mentioned that I had heard that very shortly before I did the reading on yesterday's video, and I said it wasn't going to fly. That's not going to fly. I mean, this person who's in this leadership position, I have to say that because I don't want them to take my channel down, is you may have noticed, very ineffective. There have been countless instances of like saying something, making a declaration, making a new law, signing an executive order, and then it just like it doesn't happen because it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? These are crazy times, but they're malleable times. We have a lot of opportunities to step up and change things. When things are falling apart, that's when, you know what, you can get in through the cracks in a certain way and sort of lead the way, like the governors are doing, right? Makes sense. Okay, so the cards for today, the Two of Swords. This is all the confusion around, do we go back to work or do we not go back to work? Do we go back to work or do we not go back to work? Do we go... All right, I won't say it again, I promise. I think it's up to the individual to decide, and I am erring on the side of, see, there's a moon up there and it kind of looks like a new moon, and that means to err on the side of doing something new and different. I think that companies are going to err on the side of not going for like what looks like the safety valve, because the safety valve is not going back to work and exposing people to the virus. And this looks like it's going to be challenging. There's going to be a lot of fighting between parties, but I actually have picked up recently a lot of guidance saying that there are Republicans that they're not becoming Democrats, but they're agreeing with the Democrats, and that's going to be happening quite a lot in the very near future. It's happening now. I'm sensing that they're starting to not be able to stand him, and when that's the case, it just becomes like you know, they don't really care that they're running over to the Democratic side a little bit more. It's more like we can't agree with this. We can't go along with this. So we're more in your camp than the Republican camp, than his camp. Okay, so, and I'm talking about Republicans, like, you know, changing their minds in terms of following or not following. Okay, I am going to pull a fourth card today, a significator. This is the Ten of Swords. The reason I want to pull a fourth card is because that looks pretty devastating. I don't remember if I did mention it, but I had seen the figure 1 million about 2 weeks ago. And I got that was 1 million deaths. And we've just reached the 1 million infected. You know, it's not always a good thing to see things because it's not happy news. But this is way worse than what we're being told. And a lot of it is because they don't know, because there's not enough information about the virus. So one more card that's going to be hopeful. So anyway, in a nutshell, be very careful. Just be very careful. If you're outside and you're 35 yards away from somebody, you don't really need a mask. I just had to say that because some people are getting all like angry at other people for not wearing a mask when maybe they're being safe. Maybe they are doing social distancing and they're way off in the distance, so don't bother them. You know, you can trust some people to do the right thing. All right. The Knight of Swords. Dun, 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 dun. This is somebody who knows what they're talking about, who's going to be in the forefront, in the limelight very soon. Who is that? You know what? I think it's more of a combination. I think I'm seeing, you know, this male energy, this very assertive energy, even a little aggressive energy, charging in and saying, look, this is a way it's going to go. You know, there has been I'm not really sure how you define lame duck president, but that's popping into my mind. I know presidents at the end of their term sometimes fall into that category where they really can't get anything done. That's happening now. He's not getting anything done. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so there is your reading for today. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate my subscribers. I have a low viewership because I haven't really pushed it too much, and I'm kind of brand new in terms of, oh, Wheel of Fortune. In terms of, you know, like how many viewers and all that. But anyway, the Wheel of Fortune, I got distracted by the Wheel of Fortune. That's telling me that there is tons of abundance. Don't forget, there's tons of abundance. Just stop talking about lack, okay? I love you all. AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. If you would like a free meditation, remotely, of course, or a reading. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.